This is Wilson Miles from BlackFilmAndTV.com talking to Carl Lumbly regarding his role as Isaiah Bradley in Captain America: Brave New World. How are you?
I'm well, Wilson. How are you today?
Good. So when did you get the call that you'll be back, but in theaters, as opposed to what we saw you do in Captain America: Winter Soldier?
It seemed to me it was maybe a couple of years ago. It Time has expanded greatly, but it's taken a while to get to this point. But it seems like it was about 8 months after Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
So without giving any spoilers, where do we see Isaiah at this point?
Isaiah's in the world in a way at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier. He was not. During Falcon and Winter Soldier, Isaiah, when we found him, was in his house, sheltered, hiding. And he is, thanks to Sam Wilson, he is in the world. He's not hiding in his house. He has been given a kind of a faith, basically through Sam's presence, apart from what Sam did for him, that perhaps the world that he knew, the world that ravaged him, the world that isolated him, the world that denied him, has changed. Sam convinces him of that, and so now Isaiah is living, and I hate to say it, but in Brave New World.
From what we saw in the trailer, it
Mm-hmm.
seems that he's in a combative mood. There's things going on just from what we see in the trailer.
We all
So,
have our moods, Wilson. You wake up, you feel fine, something happens, and for a split second, you have a reaction. I think that we all go through that. And Isaiah, because he's back in the world, he's vulnerable to everything that life brings you. And you can only know once you're there how you'll react.
it's funny. You said we all have a moment. I like to equate it, and this is no pun intended, but it's funny that I normally would say we all have a Hulk moment, where we just don't know where we're going to stop. But when it comes to this movie, it's like you got to be careful how you say it.
Yes, no, absolutely. Of course, I am as eager to hear what people think of it at first blush. So there are no spoilers that I can give. I'll just say that we each have an opportunity to live in a brave new world every day. And given the movement of our world, especially here in this country, every day you wake up, you have an opportunity to make it the world you want to live in. And that takes bravery, that takes courage. Some people don't find that surprising. That's the way they live their life. And by the way, happy Black History Month.
Now that you got a chance to play this role, not only on the small screen, but the big screen, how much did you know about the character prior to taking on the role? You've no stranger to playing superheroes, but how
Mhm.
much did you know about Isaiah Bradley?
I knew absolutely nothing about Isaiah Bradley before I took on the role. My son knew much more about Isaiah Bradley, and once I learned who it was I was playing, he was quite helpful to me. And in fact, he was the one who turned me on to truth. And that I consider my document. Truth has been my Bible for Isaiah.
I like to think that whenever you take on a Marvel project for any actor, they usually give you like an encyclopedia, at least the ingredients of what you need to know that's going to be played on screen, not
Mhm.
necessarily what's in the books, because as we all know, it's never always what's in the books.
Right. I believe that when you take on a role like this in a world like this, sometimes less information is better. Now, I went through an awful lot of information, but in putting Isaiah together, I needed him to not know quite a bit about the world. As I say, first locked away for some 30 years, experimented on, betrayed by a government that he had enlisted to support and champion, in part because he believed this was the opportunity that his people needed, and that he and many other brave soldiers would fight for the country they love, and it would be recognized and returned in kind. And it's based on love. You don't do any of this stuff without love in your heart, love for your country, love for the people in your families, love for the people who are not in your families, who you believe are entitled to the same joys, happiness, peace, prosperity, opportunity that you are. And to have had that thrown back in your face, and then to be punished for living it out, yeah, that creates some trust issues. And Isaiah has all of that. However, the love in his heart from his wife, Faith, aptly named, keeps him from perhaps staying in that cavern in which he had put himself.
Knowing you're playing this role, did you have to work out, because you would have to be involved in some actions. You can't have a super soldier not get into action.
Well, does the sun rise in the east? Yes, I worked out. Wilson, I'm sitting right now because this is the most comfortable position for me. I did a lot of work, and I'll say I try to stay in shape, because, as I mentioned, I do have a son, and part of being a father is continuing to try to remain that monument, that fount of wisdom and strength.
So, hey, listen, lately between you, Ernie Hudson, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, all you guys are in the 70s. You guys all look great in shape. It's like, in order to stay in the game, make sure you're in shape. We can't have you walking in a wheelchair or in crutches or anything like that. It's like, oh no, these guys are able. They're ready to go. Let's put them to work.
It's like I say, 70s are the new black.
Exactly, indeed. You're working along with Anthony Mackie. How that chemistry have been, from making that transition from, Winter Soldier to now.
It's the same territory. It's been from the first time I worked with Anthony, which was prior to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I have a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for his work and the way he goes about doing it. I think he is treasure, and it is a joy to work with him. And the man's fun.
Now, this is a new phase in the Marvel universe. Have you caught up with as many of the Marvel movies, to get an idea as to like where the Falcons come in? Even though you were heavily in Captain America: Winter Soldier, have you caught up with the Falcons' history throughout the Marvel films?
No.
Okay.
No, intentionally. As I say, I think there are some areas in which I, like Isaiah, am in the dark, and it allows for revelation. One of the things that I found in Falcon and the Winter Soldier was that the things that Sam assumes you can do are quite beyond Isaiah's reckoning. And it's not just the technology, it's the kind of agency that Sam just assumes. That very thing is what was completely taken away from Isaiah and the men of his generation, the black men of his generation in particular. So it's a study to watch him. It's curious. It's a little bit frightening. I'm sure my father felt the same way about some of the endeavors that I just willingly jumped into, because he had a tremendous fear, especially as an immigrant, of what that could bring. Don't be too bold. Don't be too bright. Don't shine too brightly, because that brings attention to you that might be unwanted. Sam doesn't have that. Sam is a social man. He's a social worker. Sam is a soldier without being enlisted. Sam sees problems, wants to solve them, again, because he wants people in unity. He wants people to work together, and he wants people to listen. All social workers have to be great listeners themselves, and they encourage that in the people they work with. Sam is working with all Americans.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, you're no stranger to doing numerous superhero projects. Where's the love for playing these roles come from?
I love the people I feel I'm representing. I love people like my father and my uncles and teachers that I have met, men in particular, but women as well, who operate at the top of their intelligence and who have a joy for life and lead with love. That's it.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, fans are going to get to see you here. Obviously, the Marvel fans brings out a big audience, but outside of this, where else can we see you at?
Well, sometime later this year, I'll be in a project called The Life of Chuck, done by a director named Mike Flanagan, who I have had the privilege of working with a couple of times as well. And I'm looking forward to that project as a whole. I'm excited about the things that I get to be a part of. And I think, as you say, those of us who have been in this industry for a while, who have put some years on, who have mileage, it's a great feeling to see where things are and where they continue to need to go.
Mm-hmm. Before I let you go, for anybody who likes to follow your career because you've been in this game and like you said, you have mileage, what keeps you staying in the game? So that they know, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, but you got to be patient at it. Not everything comes, there's going to be some highs and lows, but, just stick to the course if you really want to do this. What do you tell aspiring actors or actors currently working? Like, okay, he's been in the game over 40 years. How do I stay this way as well?
I love what I do, and I feel like I'm a vessel, that I have acquired certain skills, gifts, traits. I came with a package. Much of what I have, I was given by my parents and by the people who believed in my right and my potential and my ability to follow whatever it was that I wanted to do. My father was not a big advocate of me becoming an actor. He thought it was a waste of my talent. And so I know early on that was a motivation to show him that that the thing that I loved could be something of value. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be of value. I wanted to contribute. So that's what I would say. Anchor yourself to first the love of what you're doing, and that means the love of yourself. And if you love yourself, you can truly love anybody. I mean anybody. I've worked with some people who I wouldn't particularly want to go have lunch with, but I loved them in that moment because they had a responsibility within the production, and the production is a collaboration, and everyone is needed in collaboration. So that's what I would say. Do it for the love of yourself and the love of the people you care about, and then give that love back to an audience.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to say congrats on your role, congrats on your performance, congrats that we get to see you work again. Let's keep it going. Obviously, there's more down the road. We'll talk later. Hopefully, for The Life of Chuck, wherever you're at. Take care.
All right, man, you too. All right.
We'll talk down the road.
Very good.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.